here in the last couple of years, some of these increases we've seen have been tremendous. Those are probably going to start, like I said, leveling out. So it's just going to be more important that we help our customers squeeze every nickel they can out of parts and service, not just the warranty rate increases, but also on the customer pay side. If we can help them become more efficient on customer pay, the warranty rate increases will just follow suit.
Welcome to Retention Roadmap, navigating service success for new car dealerships. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with Evan Kilchenstein, Major Account Specialist at Armatus Dealer Uplift. Listeners know the mission of our podcast is to transform service departments into powerhouses of customer retention and satisfaction, where motivated teams, loyal customers, and consistently high revenue and profits are the norm. And in order to make sure owners, general managers, and service directors are optimizing their parts and service profits, you need to ensure that you aren't leaving any money on the table when it comes to warranty parts markup and the warranty labor rates. Today's conversation is going to focus on better understanding the what, why, and how of going about doing this. And that's why I'm so excited to have Evan with us today. I saw Evan speak in June when we were both speaking at the Connecticut Automotive Retailers Association Service Manager Summit. And I was fascinated by what he had to say and what his company does to help dealerships and how they do it. So Evan, welcome to the podcast. What part of the world do you join us from today?
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me. I am located in Pennsylvania, and our corporate location is in Hunt Valley, Maryland.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Well, really appreciate you being on today. Why don't you start us off by just telling us a little bit about your company and what role you play with it?
Sure. So Armatus, we've been around since 2011, 2012, and our entire focus has been warranty reimbursement for dealerships. And we do this nationwide, and we are the largest provider in this niche of the automotive industry. So we do this for we've done 17,000 submissions for dealers nationwide. We've worked with over 7,000 dealerships. We've worked with 7 of the top 10 groups in the country and done work for about 90 of the top 150. So we've really applied a technological platform for warranty reimbursement for dealers. Myself, as major accounts, I work with dealership groups with 10 or more dealerships, all the way up to some of the publics.
Super. Wow. So it sounds like you guys are the crafty veterans in the space. That's great.
Yes, sir.
Explain, and if you would, for us, just in general, kind of the difference between warranty labor and parts markup versus retail, and why it's so important to a dealership that they pay attention to this.
Sure. So this goes back to the early to mid 2000s when there were a handful of states that enacted statutes. These were states in the Northeast, and Florida was one of the early adopters, where for the first time, they put legislation in place that entitled dealerships to retail level compensation for their warranty work. And for years leading up to that, dealerships, when they signed a dealer agreement, the OEM basically said, hey, if you want to sell and service our vehicles, these are the rates that we're going to pay you for that work. And until these new statutes went into effect, they really had no leg to stand on. There was no real negotiating that. So the statutes allowed the dealers to submit requests to the OEMs to raise those warranty rates to levels that they charge their retail customers for similar repairs. And the reason that's important is because in doing that, it puts pure found gross profit on the bottom line, and it's something they should really look at on an annual basis. Fast forward to today, and there are 49 states that have some form of this legislation in place. Some to greater lengths than others. Some laws are more robust than others, but there's been a lot of change in the last 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, I was looking at your presentation deck from Connecticut, and I think you had a chart in there that showed a difference between about 10 years ago versus today, and it's a pretty dramatic difference.
Yes.
In terms of it being favorable to dealers, correct?
Right.
By and large.
Yeah. So what happened was you have some state dealer associations who had these laws in place, and they go to their ATAE meetings and start talking to one another, and they see the tremendous impact this could have for their dealers. And as a result, they start conversing about the laws they implemented and what it could do for the other states. And so yeah, the most recent laws were California was a big one. Mississippi, Arkansas. Some of these laws were brand new. Some of them were updates to laws that previously existed that these new revisions had stronger, were favoring dealers more. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it spread from 10 years to now. Gotcha.
Super. Mm-hmm. So in general, how does a dealer prove that an increase is justified?
Right. So in order for a dealer to accomplish this, they have to, let's say their warranty rate is $120 an hour. If they want to go to the OEM and say, hey, look, our retail rate is $140 an hour. Well, that's not enough ask and you don't necessarily receive. You have to give some supporting evidence to that $140 an hour rate. And in order to do that, you have to supply the manufacturer with a sample of customer pay repair orders in sequence that are, and this is where things get a little complicated because every law is different and every manufacturer's interpretation of every law is different. So what constitutes a qualifying repair is different everywhere, but they have to be in sequence. And if you find a sample that supports that $140 an hour rate, and you submit it, they are under law mandated to approve that rate.
Gotcha. What are some of the common mistakes that you see, Evan, dealers make in this process when they, try and do it on their own?
Sure. I would say the top three would be the time it takes to do it on their own. Something that may take a company like ours, 7 days to knock out for a dealership, could take a dealership 30, 60, 90 days. I've seen it take as long as 8 months simply because it's an arduous task, right? In order to get a sample of repair orders, you're sifting through thousands and thousands of repair orders to arrive at a sequence that will yield the result they're looking for. And that just leaves money on the table. The longer it takes to get it done is just money going out the window. Because this is not retroactive, we like to say. The profit from this process doesn't begin until the manufacturer approves the new rate. Gotcha. So time is critical. Time is literally money. The biggest mistake, I would say, and the mistake that keeps on impacting dealers well into the future, is in selecting the range of repair orders that's going to yield their new rate or their new parts markup. Perhaps most states allow you to select a sequence of ROs within a 6-month window. That's a big time frame, and tens of thousands of repair orders. If you miss the mark, if you select a range of ROs that yields a certain rate, let's say that dealership's door rate is $140 an hour, and they select a sample that only gets them to 132, but somewhere else there existed a range that could get them to 140. Maybe they have a grid in place and it could exceed 140. That's where profit gets left on the table unknowingly, right? So it's what they don't know that could hurt them. And more so on the parts side, because if a dealership gets, traditionally the factory starts a store out at cost plus 40%. If you buy a new dealership or open a new point, you're at cost plus 40. Maybe they do a submission on their own, get to cost plus 78%, when the data at their store may have supported cost plus 86. Well, if you don't apply the right technology, you may never find out that you're leaving 7, 8, 10 points on the table into the future.
Sure. So how frequently can a dealership request a rate increase?
That varies by state.
Okay.
Many states they follow maybe a typical P&P manual with the factory, which is a 12-month anniversary date. So you can't submit for another increase until 12 months after your prior rate took effect. Some states allow you to submit once per calendar year, Some states allow you to submit twice per calendar year, as you saw in Connecticut a couple months ago. States like Florida actually allow dealers to submit every 6 months. So it varies, and that's another mistake we see, and a common misconception we find with dealers is, we may reach out and say, hey, your data supports an increase. Well, we can't do it for another 8 months. We just got an approval back in April. It's like, well, you're located in X state, or maybe they got an approval in October and November, and it's January, February. Well, they're entitled in the state of, say, my state, Pennsylvania, they could submit once per calendar year. Okay. So it's what they don't know that might hurt them and might cost them money.
Sure. So, Evan, when a dealership engages with Dealer Uplift, what typically is the uplift, if you will, in their parts and service revenue that you can help them achieve through increases in their warranty reimbursement rates?
Sure. So that varies by dealership, of course. You've got smaller locations, rural dealers, and you've got larger metropolitan dealers. But on average, it could be, I believe on average for a warranty parts increase, it's about $8,000 a month. For labor, it's about the same. Now, wow. I say on average, I've seen dealerships collect over $120,000 a month in additional gross for a parts markup increase alone, with about an equivalent uplift on labor for one dealership. So wow. Multiple $1 million in additional profit per year. And something to keep in mind is this becomes an annuity of sorts. So once these new rates take effect, you don't have to revisit it. So that's money that just keeps coming in the door every year, which makes it that much more critical to hit that, we'll call it sweet spot, when you're doing a parts markup increase, especially for a store that big. If you leave 5 points on the table, that could be 6 figures a year.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely more than a handful of change, that's for sure. Talk to us a bit about the process that you go through to identify that series of sequential repair orders that is in the dealership's best interest, because that's just a fascinating process to me in terms of how you optimize that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we have proprietary software we've invested a lot of money into it, millions over the years. And that is also combined with a human element, right? We have auditors that work for us that have been doing this for a long time. And so we combine those two into this machine that does, we do maybe 200 to 300 of these a month. And so when we're doing this for a dealership, it's important that when you're looking through all the jobs within a 6-month window, you're sifting out the non-qualified work. As I mentioned in Connecticut a few months ago, most states have what we call a list of exclusions, which is a laundry list of, excludable repair types that most of us would agree are not warranty-like work. So these are things like damage, tires, routine maintenance, third-party pay in many cases. Some states allow you to exclude fleet accounts, which is a big one. And so it's important to filter all of those repair types out first before selecting the sample of ROs you're going to be using. One of the things that we see pretty rampant in the industry in this niche is, dealers will go in and select the most recent sample of repair orders in their DMS history and assume that's going to yield the highest markup or the highest rate for their dealership, when that may not be the case. There's seasonality involved. There's work mix issues, right? For example, if you're going for a parts markup increase and within your sample of 100, you run into 3 transmissions, remanufactured transmissions, those are like kryptonite to a parts markup, right? They're going to seriously hinder the markup and drop it. Maybe if you wait a couple weeks longer, those 3 transmissions drop out and the markup spikes, right? And that's not a true indicator of what you're charging your retail customer. If you have tires and routine maintenance and these kinds of things into the calculation, it's not a warranty-like repair. And so it's important to capture that type of business in your sample to get you the closest to your retail rate.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So I got to believe, Evan, that the technology has really enabled you and your company to really be able to optimize, which are the right series of repair orders to choose that's going to be in the dealership's best interest. Talk to me about how that has changed, over the years. Years might be 2 years or might be 10 years. I'll let you choose, but I imagine it's changed pretty rapidly and become a lot more powerful.
It has. It really has. We've been able to work with dealerships for 8-10 years and do this process with them every year. We certainly look at labor every year. Parts, we always look at parts, and I'd say it's every couple of years where we're able to find some additional money for them on the parts side. Not necessarily because something's engineering a higher markup. It's just the way the world's working with inflation. So these markups go up, and to capture that is critical. So, and it's funny, we were talking a little earlier about how technology has changed this whole process. What used to be a lot of paperwork is now, zip files, thumb drives.
Yeah.
It's all online portals. Most of the domestics have online portals where you're submitting this stuff. And it's funny. I remember when I first joined the company, we did a filing for a Chrysler dealership years ago, and they were still mandating that we send in paper copies of the invoices. This was a big store, and it was a pallet full
Oh my
of
God.
boxes, basically boxes of copy paper with invoices.
Wow.
And that one, that was not received too well, but hey, it's how the world worked back then.
Right. That's amazing. How were you? I would imagine that you and your clients were probably impacted by this CDK data security incident. Tell us a little bit what the impact of that was.
That is another one of the facets that has changed so much in our industry is the data security. And we have a really top-notch team here, and we've been ahead of that for years. We saw last year the FTC dropped the safeguards in June, and we saw that coming, and we've been compliant with that. It's just so incredibly important, and the CDK situation is just an example of that's the nightmare, right?
Yeah.
It was very impactful. CDK representing that many dealers was roughly half of our business, and it just brought everything to a screeching halt. And so we just did our best to be there for our clients. As soon as CDK had the dealerships back online, they let us know, and then as soon as they had the third-party certified vendors like Armatus back online, we dove right in and expedited their submissions to the factory. But in some cases, we're still not able to because they're still, manually inputting their business from June, and kind of cleaning up the aftermath of that. So very impactful, definitely.
Yeah, we were obviously impacted as well because we're, like you, a CDK third-party partner. And, for us, it was more of a serious inconvenience than it was, a mission-critical issue for dealerships. But, nonetheless, it does underscore that you just can't be too careful with respect to your data security protocols. And, it's just one of those situations that's the reality that we're all dealing with these days.
Yes, I would add that for dealers, when vetting a provider, a vendor to do this work, warranty reimbursement, that is one of the top 3 questions you just have to ask is, hey, are you FTC compliant? How are you getting my customers' information, our accounting invoices? Is this going to someone's, some subcontractor's device and, laptop in their house? How is this being handled?
Right.
So with us, we're buttoned up, and most providers are, but there's still some examples out there where you could land in hot water. Definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about how, you think the technology in this and your products and processes that you use for dealerships is going to change going forward. I'm sure that I would imagine you're probably already leveraging things like AI to the maximum extent that you can. And but talk to us a little bit about what you see coming down the road.
Sure. Yeah, AI, that's a buzzword, isn't it? It's you walk around NADA and boy, it's everyone's got AI on their banners and their flyers.
For sure.
We definitely use AI in our internal process for sure, throughout multiple points in our process. Moving into the future, we're going to continue to invest heavily in our technology as we always have, and just get faster, more accurate. That's how we've always done things. And I would say technology mostly impacts our speed. Is what used to take. If you had asked me 4 or 5 years ago, hey, how long would it take you to knock out a submission for our dealership? You know, I may have told you 30 to 45 days, whereas today I could commit guaranteed 48 hours.
Wow.
To get a submission done. And if you know, I know we have the capability to do it in one business day or an afternoon. So that's just how far technology has brought us. We have also we have several tools available to our clients that not only help on the warranty side, but it also helps drive customer pay profitability. I touched on that briefly in Bristol a couple months ago, where just naturally over time, the question started coming from our customers, hey, you guys do really well on warranty, but how can you help us trend in the right direction on customer pay?
Yeah.
And this is important because, you know, inflation hopefully is going to start leveling out. We've already seen that. And so here in the last couple of years, some of these increases we've seen have been tremendous. Those are probably going to start, like I said, leveling out. So it's just going to be more important that we help our customers squeeze every nickel they can out of parts and service, not just the warranty rate increases, but also on the customer pay side. If we can help them become more efficient on customer pay, the warranty rate increases will just follow suit. Yep. So we've started our SWOT technology, stands for Statutory Warranty Analysis Tool. Is just a deep dive into their pricing, adherence to that pricing, discounting practices, and so that side of our tool and the reimbursement side talk to one another very efficiently. So.
Yep. I recall you mentioning that you've got the daily monitoring and kind of performance management product. Is that what you're referring to there?
That is the separate side of our house called Fixed Ops Performance Center.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that a little bit.
Yep. So that is a reporting tool inclusive of performance coaching for dealerships, weekly performance coaching. That is that's taking reporting to the next level in the industry. And so that is, like you said, daily monitoring, tech comparisons, advisor side by sides. There's group roll up compatibility, enterprise view. So if you're operating 50 dealerships in 5 or 6 different states, this tool, you're a corporate fixed ops director, this tool helps bring all that business into one dashboard for you.
Beautiful.
And it can be used by someone at the corporate level or a service manager at a single store. And that is just monitoring adherence to your pricing policies every single day, and just gives you that data to make those decisions. And that leads directly into, because that's more of a daily monitoring of data, that tells us, hey, it may be time to submit for a warranty rate increase.
Yep.
Or hey, you're heading the right direction, let's wait 60, 90 days.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. Speaking of metrics and analytics, I want to mention a brand new video that we just posted to our website and our YouTube channel on how can dealerships track the increased revenue from utilizing DriveSure. We made some big investments in the last couple of years with respect to data warehouse and data analytics and Tableau dashboards for our customers. And this is just a short 2.5-minute video that highlights how our Tableau dashboard can track revenue generated from DriveSure rescue events, really down to the repair order level, down to the op code and part number level as well. You can view it at drivesure.com/dealership solutions or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@DriveSureCorrects. So as we transition out here, Evan, what have been some of the newer challenges that you've seen service managers battling in recent months when it comes to warranty reimbursement? Anything new that you see that's cropped up in the last few months?
Well, we've got some manufacturers, they change. I mentioned earlier about the OEM's interpretations of these laws, and they change like the wind. And so that's a challenge that's always been there, and so that's a challenge they're always going to have, which is, hey, I submitted for a rate increase and got shot down. Help me correct this. Or hey, I've been at this for 4 or 5 months, can't get it done. Every time I try and put together a sample, I run into an engine or a bunch of discounting, and so it's trying to juggle a warranty rate increase or a parts increase while managing the lane, managing your advisors. It's just a time crunch. And
sure.
So that's always been the challenge. That's why we're here. Your business is about retaining customers, and warranty reimbursement is just one way that a dealership, partnering with the right provider, can get their increase in 60 days. That's gross profit that goes straight to the bottom line, and that is going to help keep the technicians you need to do the most difficult service work in the dealership, the warranty work, which, as we all know, that requires the most training, the most skilled technicians. Yep. And you have to keep your skilled technicians. And this is just one way. That's a total no-brainer. That's going to help dealers do that.
Absolutely. Evan, if one of our listeners wants to get in contact with you or learn more about Dealer Uplift, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. Info@dealeruplift.com. Our website is www.dealeruplift.com. That has links to all of the services we provide, Fixed Ops Performance Center, the SWAT tool, as well as a link to reach out if they would like we offer projections at no cost, no obligation. So if anyone's curious, like, hey, what if Armatus were to apply their technology to our dealership, what could the potential be? We can deliver results in 24, 48 hours if someone gets curious.
Beautiful. We'll include a link to your website as well as your contact information in the show notes as well. Appreciate your time, Evan. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope our listeners got as much from this as I did. Fascinating topic, and thanks very much.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate the invite.